What do a time-traveling woman, a sword-swinging immortal, and a rabbit war leader all have in common? No, this isn't the start of a bad fantasy joke. These are some of the greatest fantasy protagonists of the 1970s, and today we're going to be celebrating every single one of them. Hey everyone, welcome back to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things that we enjoy. I'm Jim, the father of this channel, and I'm here celebrating some fantastic and timeless fantasy today, specifically leaning into the best protagonists of the 1970s. If you enjoy this today, I hope you'll give us a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Take a look at all the things Zach and I have here just for your entertainment. But today, we're tackling the 1970s, a decade that exploded with bold ideas, boundary-breaking heroes, and an ever-widening definition of what fantasy could be. As always, this is my curated list, blending personal admiration, fan consensus, and the critical buzz that still echoes through time. One extra note: no protagonist in this series, from the 50s all the way to the end, can be mentioned more than once. Once I've designated someone as the best protagonist of that year, they can never come again. That's just my personal rule, making it kind of fun. So when I do choose a protagonist, that's it. That's that one's only time. One new note to share today. Viewers, I've heard you as you've been looking at the 50s and the 60s and you're going, what? What? That's it? That's the only one? Yeah. There are a lot of protagonists who could be worthy, and picking just the one best, yeah, it's been a little painful. Each omission of another great protagonist, I'm like, so I've eased up on myself. I've let go of the pain just a little bit. Today, I'm still giving you the best protagonist of each year from books that came out that year or maybe the year before, but they were really popular that year. But then I'm giving you a runner-up as well. So yeah, I did the work still to figure out who do I genuinely think is the best, but I'm going to name a second one too. And therefore, you'll find more that you are reminded of and can love. Still, if I miss some of your favorites, don't be afraid. Put them down in the comment box. And if you think I'm wrong, say so. I'm a big enough guy. I can take it. All right, let's dive into the grooviest decade in fantasy, the 1970s. We begin 1970 with the best hero, the best protagonist being Corwin from Nine Princes in Amber by Roger Zelazny. We're kicking off with one of the slickest anti-heroes that's ever been seen. Corwin wakes up in this book with no memory, and by the end of the book, he's trading blows and political barbs with an entire royal family across parallel universes. Cool, cunning, and cynical, with a dash of reluctant nobility. Corwin isn't just navigating power, he's rewriting it. But the runner-up, see, I get to give you another one now for 1970, the almost as good, is Myrddin Emrys, also known as Merlin, from The Crystal Cave by Mary Stuart. Before he was the legendary bearded wizard Merlin, he was a sharp-witted, observant young man navigating Roman Britain with mystical instincts and awkward family drama. You've never rooted so hard for a kid to become a myth. 1971 gives us Tanar from The Tombs of Atuan by Ursula K. Le Guin. Tanar's journey is a slow burn, but oh, so satisfying. Trapped in the oppressive rituals of a forgotten religion, Tanar learns to see herself as more than a title. Her awakening, through the clash of belief, magic, and Ged himself, is a masterpiece of character transformation. She's fantasy's quiet revolution. Runner-up for 1971 is Jack, or Shadow Jack, from Jack of Shadows by Roger Zelazny. Zelazny gives us a literal shadow of a man, half science, half sorcery, all sass. Jack is the anti-hero your morally gray side craves, constantly straddling the line between genius and jerk. For 1972, we start with Hazel from Watership Down by Richard Adams. Let me tell you, if you have not cried over a rabbit, then you have not read Watership Down. Hazel is that rare hero who leads not through force, but through thoughtfulness and empathy. Watching him grow into the beloved leader of a rabbit warren is more epic than some sword fights. Runner up for 1972 is King Kelson Haldane from Durini Checkmate. Kelson is the crown wearing wunderkind of medieval magic politics. He's like Aragorn's younger, more diplomatic cousin, ruling with equal parts idealism and anxiety. Going to 1973, our best protagonist is Will Stanton from The Dark is Rising by Susan Cooper. Will goes from average British schoolboy to immortal magical guardian, like it's no big deal. As an old one, he's collecting powerful signs and resisting the ancient dark, but he never loses his humanity in the process. 11 years old and already saving the world. That's called peaking early. Runner-up for 1973 is Duke Alaric Morgan from High Durini by Catherine Kurtz. Dashing, brilliant, and chronically misunderstood. Alaric is the adult in the room while Kelson grows up. Think of him as the magical Obi-Wan of medieval Camberville. 1974 gives us Sybil from The Forgotten Beasts of Eld by Patricia McKillop. Sybil is the mysterious, badass wizard who lives on a mountain with a bunch of mythical creatures and somehow still ends up the most interesting character in the room. Her story explores power, lore, and isolation, with prose so lyrical you want to frame every page. Don't do it, that's very expensive. This character is quietly ferocious and deeply human. The runner-up for 1974 goes to Redmond Morgan, known as Red, from the novel Shardik. Red starts off as a hunter, finds religion through a bear, and ends up on a redemptive roller coaster of prophecy and pain. He's like if Noah met Nietzsche and the bear talked. For 1975, I give you as the best protagonist the nameless heroine from The Birthgrave by Tanith Lee. She doesn't even get a name at first, but don't let that fool you. Lee's heroine in The Birthgrave is unforgettable. An amnesiac goddess, queen, warrior? Yes, please. She journeys through a post-apocalyptic fantasy world facing monsters, tyrants, and her own buried truth. Raw power meets buried trauma in one wild, surreal ride. Runner-up for this year is Bran Davies in The Grey King by Susan Cooper. He's literally King Arthur's kid, reincarnated into a quiet albino Welsh boy with a harp and secrets. Bran is mysterious, melancholic, and mythic enough to make even Tolkien raise an eyebrow. For 1976, I'm going to make some of you finally a little more happy with my picks, as I've heard the criticisms, but it was coming here. It was coming. Cain, from Dark Crusade by Carl Edward Wagner. If Conan had a philosophy degree and a darker soul, you'd get Cain. Immortal, brooding, and sword-happy, he leads cults and topples kingdoms, but never quite escapes the consequences of his own ambition. He is dark fantasy. Runner-up for 1976 is Morgon, Prince of Head, from The Riddlemaster of Head by Patricia A. McKillop. Morgon wants riddles, peace, and a nap, but gets destiny, shapeshifters, and soul-deep trauma instead. A prince for readers who like their heroes brainy and brooding. Moving to 1977, one of my favorites of all, we get Shay Ohmsford from The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks. Shay's that classic small-town boy who finds out he's the only one who can possibly save the world. Reluctant? Definitely. In over his head? Constantly. But what makes Shay special is his loyalty and his moral strength. The first true epic fantasy post-Tolkien, in my opinion, and Shay carries the torch, even if he was shaking the whole time. Runner-up for this year is another fun protagonist, Bink, from A Spell for Chameleon by Piers Anthony, book 1 of the Xanth series. Bink might seem talentless, but that's just his magical shtick. He blunders, banters, and stumbles his way through Xanth, winning hearts and narrowly avoiding certain death with panache. For 1978, another fantastic protagonist I bring to you. Maybe a little outside the box, but I still think it's the best one of the year. Stu Redmond from The Stand by Stephen King. Now we're mixing some post-apocalyptic horror with our fantasy, and Stu Redmond brings the quiet strength. He's not flashy, he's not magical, but when the world ends, he's the guy you want on your side. His integrity, resolve, and everyman realism makes him the true heart of The Stand. Runner up for this year is another great protagonist from an amazing series, Jaxum from The White Dragon by Anne McCaffrey. This is part of the Dragon Riders of Pern series. Lord Jaxum is a dragon rider, trying to be a duke and a teenager at the same time. No easy task. Political intrigue and telepathic dragon drama? Sign us up. This stuff's fantastic. Let's go to the last year for the 70s, 1979, and I bring you Dana Franklin from Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. We're ending this decade with an absolute icon. That's Dana Franklin, a black woman from the 1970s flung back into the antebellum South against her will. Fantasy meets brutal historical truth. Dana's strength is not in spells or swords, it's in her intellect, her resilience, and the impossible choices she's forced to make. She redefined what fantasy could do. Runner-up for the year goes to Snake from Dream Snake by Vonda N. McIntyre. Snake is a healer with bioengineered snakes and an iron will. She travels post-apocalyptic landscapes, delivering science-y magic care with empathy and efficiency. She's basically Doctor Who meets The Good Place with venom. And that's what I have for you today. 20 unforgettable protagonists from the wild, weird, and deeply thoughtful 1970s. From rabbit generals to immortal tyrants, these characters helped fantasy grow up, dig deep, and stretch far beyond swords and sorcery. I know there are others I could have chosen, but do you agree with my picks as the best of the year and the runner-ups? Or do you disagree? Did I miss your favorite protagonist? The one with a perm and a prophecy from the 70s that got no love? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk it out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you catch our next chapter, the 1980s, coming right around the corner where shoulder pads meet dragons. That's where I'll leave you today. May your adventures be epic, your protagonists unforgettable. We'll talk to you next time.